All right, we are live and we're not doing market disruptors. So, Callie, what I want to talk about today is doing video, and I'm curious. You know, I would say I don't think this is too crazy of a um, projection, but my guess is you've not always been great on video.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's tricky. It's tricky to learn how to speak in front of people, organize your thoughts, be able to say something coherently, right? It is communication in and of itself is pretty difficult, especially communicating to a broad group of people. And all of those things, at least in my experience, are 10x more difficult because you're not talking to. I'm talking to a little webcam right now. You know,
Right.
I'm talking to potentially thousands or tens of thousands of people. And they all have different backgrounds and different experiences and opinions, and so it does. It's difficult, and getting better at it has been a big journey, a big challenge. So.
And look, I'll be honest. So I don't know, it's probably 3 years ago. Let's just call it 3 years ago. One of my buddies said, Corey was like, why do I never see you do like a live on? I'm like, I don't because I don't do video, dude. Like I hate doing video. I'm not very good. I hate the way I sound. He was like, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and challenge you to the 30-day Facebook challenge. I'm like, oh my God, I want to claw my eyes out because I got to take the challenge. And so I probably did like a lot of people. I paced back and forth. And my hands were sweaty because I thought, here's exactly what I thought. How many people are going to see this while I'm live? What if they put stuff in the thing? What if I get like completely bashed? That's what goes through everybody's head. I had thousands. There's probably 3 people in the whole damn live stream.
Yeah, don't
Like,
worry. If you're not that good, not very many people will see it, right? So you have to be extremely good at being bad for a lot of people to see it. So yeah, I think that's kind of people's thought, right? And yeah, you see somebody, oh, I posted this thing on TikTok. It went, 100,000 million views. Oh, I posted this thing. Those are people are talking about that and they're interested in it because it's the exception, right? The reality is YouTube channel super difficult to build. We were talking about Facebook groups earlier. Requires actual work, funnily enough, right? Email lists, difficult. Private groups, difficult. Podcasts, weekly effort, right? Everything that's worth doing requires effort and consistency. And so, yeah, we're worried. Oh, what are people going to think about my first episode or my first live? It's like, well, you probably don't have much to worry about because very few people are going to see it. And then by the time a lot of people see it, they're already going to be fans and they're going to be looking at your back catalog and they're going to think, wow, Corey has grown. This is amazing. His content and his ideas before were good, but now his context and communication and presentation and charisma are at that next level. So
yeah,
yeah, I understand why it would make people nervous because it made me nervous because I have had content that's gone pretty viral that we've had hundreds of thousands of people view it, and you think like, oh, that's what I thought about my podcast at first, right? It's like, oh man, what happens when tens of thousands of people are going to want to watch it? And it's like 3 downloads.
right. It's like we're not quite as important as we think we are sometimes. But it's interesting because it is like I use this analogy a lot. It's like it's Sunday, football's on probably, but surely. So Tom Brady's probably playing today. Guarantee you he's not going to go out and run a play that he hasn't practiced, right? He's a master. It's like Michael Jordan, 1,000 free throws every single time or every single day. He This is no different, right? Just you don't have to go live. You could just pull out your phone, do video after video after video. You don't even have to do anything with it. But here's the thing: I would encourage people not to erase it because you can go back and see how bad you sucked a year ago or 6 months ago because it is going to suck compared to 6 months from now, right? But you got to go through the suck. You got to go through that part. It's just part of the deal.
Yeah, if you do something like 10 times, even if it wasn't that great, it's already much better than what most people will do. I posted that video of the guy knocking over the tiny little domino and knocks over the giant dominoes. And I reference this for two reasons. One, that's kind of how content works, right? There's a lot of secondary reasons why, like, you're getting better, your ability to communicate is getting better, but it's a catalog. This is why YouTube or even Facebook groups are much better and much more powerful than, say, Instagram or TikTok, because one is ephemeral and one just builds this catalog. So it has that snowball effect, right? But the other reason that I mentioned it is that video has millions and millions and millions of views, and that guy has 22,000 subscribers. The reason is because he made that really successful video, but he's a physics teacher, right? He's a professor. He didn't make a video every week or a video every day or every month. He made like 5 videos. So he wasn't able to even capture all that attention. So what we're looking at is we have to give ourselves permission to be bad so we can build this foundation. One, we can get better, but two, when we eventually will be successful, because if you do anything with repetition, consistency, effort, you will get better, right? But when you do have that hit, which will probably be like the 100th video, not the first video, that somebody's going to say, I should subscribe or I should continue to listen to Corey because he's been at it for a really long time, because he consistently puts out content, because this seems like a place that I can continually come back to and get the knowledge and information or entertainment or alignment or community that I'm searching for, that piece of the thing that I think that I need. And so I thought that was funny. It's like, you have 15 million views, you got 22,000 subscribers. That conversion rate is terrible.
Terrible. So why is that? How do you get a video to have that many views and only have 22,000 subscribers?
I mean, as soon as it started hitting, you should have been like, I'm going to do live streams on physics. I'm going to do a video. I'm going to turn this into a platform for my passion, And if he'd done that, he'd have 200 or 2 million,
I bet he had that idea.
Yeah, I bet he was like, man, I'm a teacher and I feel really awkward being on camera, and couldn't get over it.
It's like, man, I can't. And look, let's be honest. Like, you've had videos go viral. I've had videos go viral. Mm-hmm. It is not what you think. It's cool. It's cool until you get to the comments. And now you're responsible for ultimately responding if people are asking questions about your video, if you left something out or whatever, right? I did a stupid video on a salad and it went crazy viral. Well, not crazy viral, but it went viral on TikTok. And man, I had like 58 questions. And that takes a shit ton of time to answer all those questions.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. So that's another thing you want to think about. It is cool. It's a good feeling. But man, afterwards, it's like, Jesus, what did I get into?
Yeah, and if you don't do that work, then why are you doing it, right?
Right.
It's like, what's the whole point, right? What are we actually doing here? So,
I mean, guess what? It doesn't matter how many followers you got. Followers don't pay you unless you ask them for money, right? It doesn't matter if I've got 16 million followers. If I'm not making money off of them, what good are they?
Yeah, so this is the thing for everybody that's watching, is what we're doing right now. It is the mode of sales, and for people that are over on my side selling physical product and e-com, look at all what the cutting edge e-commerce companies are doing. On their website, they have videos showing how the products work. Everybody important is starting to do that right now. They're integrating video in there. But the smaller innovative companies, the companies that are really winning, they're doing live selling. They're running their own little communities. They're running through influencers. It's like their own little QVC. So if you're in the market and saying, hey, I want to learn how to sell something, you better get comfortable on video. On the other side of stuff, the B2B side, on my contract manufacturing side, on Corey's side of things, I'm on 4 or 5 Zooms a day, right? This is sales. So if you want to get comfortable, and you can tell, Corey, I mean, I can tell, like, I'm pitching somebody, we're pitching somebody, and the level of comfort that they have versus the level of comfort that I have speaking to them on video now because I do content, I feel like that really helps sell because it exudes a little bit more confidence or a little bit better communication.
Well, it does, and so to your exact point, and we've talked about this a million times. 55% of the communication is body language. You don't get any of that outside of if you're not doing video. Tonality is 38%. So if you're just sending a text or sending an email, then really you're only hitting 7% of that communication style, and that's what I mean. In sales, you've got to have that, right? You got to be able to talk to people. If you can't talk to people, you're going to struggle. I mean,
Yeah, I don't care about your funnel or any of those things. It's like you should probably learn how to communicate with people. At some point in your level of success, we can't all be like current gen Elon and stutter over our words and say goofy stuff. Like you make $200 billion and then you can kind of stutter around and say weird things like him or Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos or whatever. Us little mortals, we need to actually be able to relay a point a
that's
little bit
exactly
better.
right.
Corey, how
So
can
how
people get better? How can they get
well,
better though?
so what I help people with and show is that take out your iPhone and just shoot video, right? Just it's so easy just to practice, and guess what? If you do it in private, practice in private, and then you're going to be better in public. And then it's so simple. Like this is not even that great of a formula, except for it works. I mean, it's so simple. Literally, it's that simple,
Hmm.
and it works every single time. Now, and some people look. I'm not a script person. We've talked about this. I hate scripts. I'm not. I know what I'm talking about. I'm just better off talking about it in my own way. But look, if you're not one of those folks, and you may not be, there's apps that you can get that will literally scroll through the phone as you're talking to it. You could just read off of it. And is it going to be as authentic as you not reading? Probably not. But there's some pretty good apps out there. And I'll tell you, the one that when I had to do one of our commercials, I had to use the app because I was talking about something I wasn't entirely familiar with. I'm just trying to think which one it was. I'm looking here. I want to say it was Screen. Uh, well, actually, yeah, I don't know what I did with it, but it's um, I feel like it's Screen Reader. Either way, all you have to do is just look in the damn app store. You'll find a
There's a bunch
million
of them.
different. Yeah, absolutely, and they work. I mean, if that's what you need, if that's what you're struggling with, is it your words or whatever, that's an easy solution. And it's $10 a month. Like anybody can afford $10 a month watching this damn live stream. So it'll help you. I promise you, it'll help you, and you'll get better. And you won't need that script all the time. I wouldn't think. I mean, have you ever had to use a script?
I write like points down, so I'll just do bullet points and then I kind of fill in, where I want to go with each thing. If I want to make sure that like the episode or my point is timely, it's tight, right? A good example of that would be the last episode of my podcast. I wanted to make sure that it was approximately 15 minutes. It was that I got in all of the points that I wanted to talk about in a very short version of what I would normally do for my podcast. Certainly shorter than if I did an interview episode. And there was a lot of intentionality behind that because we were driving traffic. I'm using that episode for a couple of other things. And so I wanted it to be short. I wanted it to be digestible and to have all of the points in it concisely for the new audience that was coming in. And so, yeah, I didn't write a script, but I had a very detailed bulleted list of all of the items that I wanted to talk about. And that helped me with show notes. That will help me with some of the future pieces that we're using of that and of the content that was in there. But in general, it looks like one page of just bullets. Like, going to record my episode a little bit later. So just talking about, selecting your dream collaborators and how do you go about that? What's the rationale behind that? And just going a little deeper. So again, I want to make sure that I hit all of the points, and I have my little framework that I run people through. I was just on our friend Cody's podcast, and we were talking about kind of the framework that I use, which is I have a hook, I have a story, I have what our lesson is, and then I have our takeaways, like the impact that it'll get, or the impact it's had for me, or the impact that it'll have for you. And that's the framework that I've come up with. But in that little bit, like I want to make sure I hit those points. And I do recommend strongly that people sit down, they use their, so for me, that looks like this little guy right here. You write something down on paper that makes that mind body connection of just those top level points. You can put it into Notepad or Word or Google Docs or whatever you want later, but really think through what you're going to say. So have some intentionality, and then half the time you won't even need to look at it. You have already made all those neural connections. You've already made those conceptual connections. I'm going to walk somebody through this logical argument about why they should take charge in their business and their life and do this thing. But a script, I'm not a newscaster, right? I don't need to develop that skill. If I was doing something else, I think it would be important. I'm not a voiceover actor or anything like that. So,
and I guess that's when it would probably come into play most of all when if you are, if you do voiceovers and you do have to talk about something that's not necessarily something you know about, then yeah, of course it would only make sense that if you want it to come out good, that you're going to use the script they give you. Um, I just think it's very interesting, but I hate that people struggle with this, and it's so easy to overcome. But that mental block, man, that mental block is probably the hardest thing to overcome, and the thoughts of how many people are going to watch, how many people are going to make fun of me, how many people are going to think I look stupid, how many people are going to think I sound stupid. Those are all the thoughts that go through our heads, and it's all really not true. It's just not. People are not going to judge you because you think you sound stupid.
also, I mean, think of it like this: is like it doesn't matter what level of success that you have. You're going to have people that think one thing about you or another. It's not something you can control. It's if you wanted to be really vanilla, you would be forgettable, and most people wouldn't even see you in the first place. So there is that piece. You have to understand, like if I made something that was generally appealing, that it was a vanilla piece of content, and everybody on earth saw it. It was the most viral piece of content of all time. Everybody with the internet saw it. Next week, everybody would have forgotten me. Anyways, it doesn't matter, right?
No.
And there would be a bunch of negative comments anyways. And I would have spent all my time just figuring out, like, I don't want to offend anybody. I want to make sure that this is like, there's no flashing lights, there's no sharp sounds, that I don't say anything weird, that my voice is very monotone. It has soothing music in the background. I don't say anything political. I want to be helpful. I want to be flattering, and people would just forget it right away. Anyways, I'd still, like I said, I'd still probably get negative comments. But if we put something out there that is important, that really does hit those points of who we are, what our customers need, what our audience is looking for, something that would capture somebody's attention, that they would remember it at least for a week, so they can come back and queue you up for another download or to watch another live stream. Like, for it to hit a nerve with somebody, to be memorable, it's got to stand out. It's got to be a little bit different. But I would guess that the same percentage of people, if I made like the most bland piece of content, you think boiled oatmeal content, the same amount of people are going to say, I hate boiled oatmeal, as if I made, firecrackers in your mouth, and people say, I hate 4th of July. It just doesn't matter. There's a lot of people out there that have too much time on their hands and that they're uncomfortable and unhappy with their life. But in one scenario, a bunch of people would say, hell yeah. And the other scenario, a bunch of people would just forget about you.
Well, let me ask you something. Do you remember anybody's post from yesterday?
Yeah, it's
And
like,
you, all
exactly.
right. Oh, so right, or 2 days ago, or 3 days ago. Like even if it's your favorite person in the world, right, that you follow, you read everything. You probably still don't remember 3 days later what they posted 3 days ago.
Right. Right.
So
You're just trying to foster a relationship where you know to go back to the well and engage in more content or take that relationship to the next level, which is kind of what I'm going to talk about on this week's episode of the podcast is like, how do we go from consumers to engagers? So I think that we've missed social media in its intent and we use it as another TV channel where it's meant to be something that is more actively engaged versus something that's passively consumed. And consuming is super dangerous. So um, if you want to mindlessly scroll, that's great, but you have the power of the universe in your hands, and we're not really engaging and building community, building relationships, and dude, you will never have somebody do that with you if you you don't practice, you don't put anything out, you try to tiptoe around everything. You copy other people's content because you think that it's good or it's better than what you could do. All those mistakes that people make, you just put garbage out. Like I'll be honest, just put crap out there and get better. Like just put out whatever you want. Just put it
yeah,
out there. We were talking about introducing yourself, right? Most of the people we're a member of some different groups and communities, and a lot of those communities, part of the entry ask is make a post introducing yourself.
that's right.
Video is a good way to do that.
That's the only way to do it in this situation.
How many people do it though?
Whew, not many, dude. I mean, like if out of let's say 4,000 people, I bet you no more than 25 people did it.
Yeah. So you look at that, and everybody in that group, we won't say which group it is. They're they're asked to do it. They're all joined because they're looking to be extraordinary, right? To lead an extraordinary life, to do something that's extra. So they're not doing what's being asked of them because they're afraid. Hey, there's all these other badasses in this group. I don't want to embarrass myself. But I don't care how badass those other people think they are. They're not posting either.
Exactly. And here's the thing, and we haven't really talked about this, but we've made all these mistakes, right? We
Yeah, I've already
sound
made all this mistake.
stupid. Yeah, we sound like an idiot on our first video. I'm certain of it. But guess what? Like I don't even remember what I said in my first video, so I can assure you nobody else does.
Yeah, it's like a lot of things is that they're searching for to do the 0.1% behavior. They want to be part of this 0.1% or 1% or 3%, 5%. They want to be elite, right? And what is interesting about most of success behavior is that the level to get to 1% behavior is pretty low. It's pretty low. Now, 1% earning, that means that you make $400,000, right? $450,000. If you're younger, it could mean a little less. That's pretty high. That seems pretty high, right? But in a lot of other aspects of your life, like understand that if you want to be in the top 5% of all people to be in shape, it means you go to the gym 3 times a week, right? Like if you have 15% body fat as a man, you're probably in the top under 5% of America in fitness level. So like being that's what I'm saying. Being elite isn't really that elite. It just involves doing routine normal things repeatedly.
That's right.
So we talk about podcasts, right? So to be in the top 1% of podcasts means that for your category, you probably get about 2,000 downloads a month.
Okay, that's
Right.
interesting. I would have
So
thought more.
exactly. This is my exact point. Now, to be in the top 0.5%, might mean that you get 20,000 downloads, and it'd be in the top 0.1%. So being in that like top 100 or whatever, top 10, you might get 10 million downloads a month, right? But it's like that's the reality of nature, is that everybody wants to be elite, and they're like, if I could be the top of this group, there's 4,000 people in this group. So if you want to be the top 1%, the top 40 people, only 25 of them posted a video. Well, guess what? If you posted any video, you would already be in the top 1%. You'd be in the top 0.6%.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and you're absolutely right. And it's just fear, right? It's just fear of it's just fear of the camera. Or, and I put this in the description, maybe you don't, maybe you're fat, right? That could be that could be a reason not to get on, that you don't are comfortable on camera. Could be that you're, maybe you got, I don't know, a big nose like me, and you're like, God, people are going to say I've got a big nose, and I was like, people don't give a fuck. The other part of this too, Callie, is that when starting out and feeling like we didn't do a very good job, there's also a level of authenticity there that people can see, that we're looking at it like, oh man, we don't want you to struggle, but at the same time people like seeing the struggle to a degree, and so that may be very attractive to people, that you're not that great on video but you're trying, and people can see that, and that shows. I don't know about you, but it shows me that, like, you're willing to do the work. If you're willing to get on video and look and feel and sound crazy and say, I probably sound crazy because this is my first video, that shows me you're willing to do hard shit. You're willing
Well,
to.
it's relatable, right? It's relatable.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You can pick on anybody that you think is amazing and watch an early interview of them. Somebody that's been doing it forever. We're always picking on Tony Robbins. You can watch his old videos on YouTube. He's pretty good, right? He's pretty good. He's probably as good as some friends of ours, right? He's probably as good, or maybe not even as good as some people at speaking events that we would normally go to, right? Maybe people that we saw last week while we were in Tampa, right? So he's good. Is he great? No, he's pretty good. Is he what he is today? Hell no, right? But it's like you can go through go watch your favorite stand-up comedian. Go watch it on YouTube, right? Go watch your favorite late night TV host. Go your favorite actor. Watch them go audition. Very few of them are incredible, but it's like there's this weird thing that not just Instagram does, but social media in general does, is that it flattens success, is that we have access to see success on tap, right? We can see the most extreme levels of success, of wealth, of beauty, of talent at any time. So it's like, oh, look at this, hula hooping is pretty cool. I want to get involved in that. And you go hula hooping video. It doesn't show you anyone. It shows you the coolest one. And the next 100 of them is the coolest ones too. And you're thinking, man, there's all these people. There must be tens of thousands of people that are incredible at doing this. I guess I won't do it. But in reality, there's 3 people. They're in all of those videos. And then there's 300 people that aren't that great, and then everybody else sucks at it. Whatever it is, whatever you're trying to do. And video is the same. It's like there's millions of people creating video on YouTube, but there's also hundreds of millions of people in the United States. Literally just creating 10 videos or 10 podcasts or posting once a week on Instagram, like you're already at a very, very extreme percentage of behavior of even people that want to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And even people even spend the money to do it, and still just not even, like, the fear is so bad they just won't show up. And I'm telling you, save the money. Like, I'm telling you the trick. I'm telling you the hack. Just practice by yourself. So easy. Anybody can do it. Lock yourself in a closet. Whatever you got to do. right? And I promise you, I guarantee it will make it work. It will make you better, guaranteed.
It's funny.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not rocket science, right? It's really not. Um, and by no means are we making fun of people. What we're trying to say is we've been through this. Like we've been through the shit. We've been through the same anxiety that you may be going through right now. We've gone through that, right? We've overcome it, and guess what? We're on the other side, and here we are talking. We do live streams like I feel like 80 times a week. Like I mean, it's just part of what we do now. Like it's not a big deal.
Yeah, and not to be negative about it, but there's lots of obstacles and challenges that you won't see until you start doing something. So we're constantly talking about what platform or distribution or this and that. We're not generally talking about topics or if we should, anything like that. It's like how can we best get this out? How can we involve other people? So there's a whole second set of questions, and is it worth it discussion and all these other discussions. But in general, people are just stuck at the should I do it, or what are people going to think about me? And I mean I
Or
can
is it going to be worth it? That was a good one, right?
yeah, is it
Is
going
it
to be
worth my
worth it?
time, right? I mean, should I spend my time doing this live stream? Is it going to benefit me in any way possible? And the answer is may not benefit you directly at that moment, but absolutely it's going to benefit you because even if you're struggling on video, this is going to help you in real life. This is going to help you when you go out and talk to other people because guaranteed you probably come across very similarly than in person than you do on camera, most likely. And how much better would your sales be? How much better would your company be if you could talk about your product or service in a better way, in a more succinct way, in a way that the customer understands? And this is a great way of practicing that and getting that down pat.
Yeah, it'll queue you up for a lot of things. I mean, for anybody, you can do this, Corey. You search my name on Google, you'll see page after page after page of like articles written about me, podcasts that I've been on, little things like that. And it's because you do this over time, and then somebody's thinking, is that guy credible? And then you search, and it's like, wow, here's a decade of content that this guy's been creating, like a couple things a month, because you're going to create stuff, and it just kind of goes out into nothing, right? I've been on over 100 podcasts since starting the podcast, and you see like, did I become famous after being on my first podcast? No. Or my 10th one? No. But when you search my name, you can see I've been on all these podcasts. Some of them are big, some of them are small, and that all contributes. It's like, man, this guy's talking about growing product brands, launching products, growing product businesses, manufacturing over and over and over again. So if the question in one of my clients' mind is this guy legit? Does he know what he's talking about? You can go back and see an article written about me in 2012 about this or that, or an interview with me on like the local news, or being on a podcast or whatever, and that stuff stacks up over time. And if you don't think people, when you go for your big job or you go for that big pitch meeting, they're not Googling your name, you're on drugs. Because that's 100% what people are doing, right?
Absolutely.
They're looking at your LinkedIn feed, right? They're looking at your Instagram. They're looking at your Google search results. And you can look at mine. Like, just look at mine. It's okay. Like,
Yeah. And it really does make a difference too, because think about this. Like I struggle with and you and I just talked about this recently. Like, I have very strong opinions about certain about things that are going on in this country. But we discussed, right? We talked about. You said, "Well, let me ask you. Talking about that stuff on social media, does it serve the customer?" And the answer is no. It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't provide value to the people that I'm trying to provide value to. So I've pulled back. I've stopped talking about, and not because I don't believe in it. It's not that. That's not the reason. But it's me using social media for a very intentional purpose, which is to grow my business, not for entertainment.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
sharing your opinions is a good way to get audiences that are in alignment. But I think that a lot of people mess this up. Is there's a difference between getting people that share the same thoughts and beliefs with you, or admire, or just align with what you're saying. That's one thing. But I feel like, especially now, there's a lot of people diving in, and that they want to be like other people that we follow, and or other people that you see that are very political. And I'm like, they're selling influence though,
Right.
right? So like, what you're getting is that's the thing that they're selling. So even if you have a little bit of that content, and that's doing to like align your audience, it's like, understand that somebody's coming to you for a product, right? They're coming to you for a thing. And unless you can directly make it relate to what you're supposed to be talking about, it just doesn't. You're giving people the bait and switch. They've come to you, Corey, for sales advice, right? To learn something new about sales. And I think that you could make it relate, and you are going to push and pull that audience, right? A lot of people are going to be like, this isn't my guy, or hey, I believe something similar, so I'm going to listen. But yeah, it's really easy to fall into the trap, as like, of talking about whatever I want to talk about, instead of, I could do this on my podcast. I could just start talking about Porsches on my podcast, and like, I could make it totally irrelevant, or I could start making it relevant. If I wanted to make it relevant, I would probably just interview somebody that has like a Porsche aftermarket company, or they've built an e-commerce company around clothing, or brand in the supercar, or hot rod, or whatever you want to call it, in that aftermarket space. And I could make my interest relevant, and somebody could still get value. But I have to remember that in the videos, and this will help you if you're making your first video, what are you actually selling? What's somebody coming to you for? Because it's nothing right now. And if it continues to be totally random, it'll be nothing forever. That's why people have a really hard time with traction, is people don't know, why should I return? What am I going to get? What's in it for me?
That's it.
Yeah.
What's in it for me? And that's what the question is on most people's mind. Why? What's in it for me? Like, I don't care. People probably do not care about my opinion about what's going on. But I will say this, like, here's a great example. If I decided that I was going to talk about, one of the biggest topics,
Mm-hmm.
this is what I would say. They didn't sell they didn't sell people getting the damn vaccine right. They didn't sell it right.
Well, we know that
If they would
we
have
know that
brought
for
me in,
sure.
yeah, if they'd have brought me in, this thing would have went smooth as a baby's ass. But guess what? They didn't. They
See,
completely botched it.
we call that marketing angle, right? So like, the angle on that is perfect, because I think, regardless of what side of the aisle, we can all agree that pre it existing and then post it coming out, didn't really sell it very well, right? Got some flip
No.
flopping going on, right? Got some, it's just that that would be super relevant. And I'd be like, okay, let me get this hot take on this, right?
Yeah,
And maybe if I didn't agree, I would still be like, I get the point. I get the lesson out of it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do
But
something on that. I should do something on that because
I think it's
dude, they,
such a good idea.
yeah, they completely botched it totally. And look, I'm not for it, but I will tell you, if they would have just, good God, if they would have just done it slightly different, this thing would have went so good. It would have been so smooth. It probably saved them. God, we don't even want to know how much money they've spent on marketing. Who knows? But it would have saved them a lot of money, and it would have effectively changed the game for a lot of people, and it would have saved a lot of businesses a lot of headache right now. Think about that. If they would have sold this in a way where people were excited about it, or if they would have just sold it to where people were accepting of getting, the thing, then the businesses wouldn't have to go through this whole firing situation. They wouldn't have to go through all these protests. They wouldn't have to go through any of that. So uh, they didn't bring me in. That's why it got screwed up.
There you go.
That's it.
I think
So
that's a good lesson on that. Well, I gotta jump because I've got I got a podcast to record. I got I actually have other video to record, so it's kind of a funny
sweet.
topic for today. But
Yeah,
yeah,
this has been
man,
great. Well,
this is my
appreciate all you guys joining.
this is my piece. Let's give a little point of action. Just take out, like Corey's saying, take out your phone, shoot a little video, get used to that. What it'll look like, it'll sound great. Put it up on your Facebook feed or put it up on LinkedIn. You'd be surprised. Like if you're I mean, LinkedIn is so powerful. I think people are really just missing the boat, not posting on that. But we could do a different video on that. They're doing the exact opposite of what they should do on that platform. Just cold DMs, no way, content, easy, so much easier.
Yeah,
But just go shoot a little video.
that's it. That's
All
it.
right.
And look, it's gonna suck, but guess what? Guarantee it's gonna get better.
Share something that makes me understand what you're an expert in.
And another thing, Callie, you could also start the video by saying, "Hey, I'm super nervous. My first video. I never
I'm
shot a video before,
I'm
right?
not
Just
an
tell
expert in
everybody.
video, but I am an expert in this, and let me just share you a quick tip on this piece.
Absolutely, absolutely. Make it relatable. So
Yeah.
I think that's good. Let's end on that. Appreciate you jumping on with me, dude.
Yeah. Bye,
All
everybody.
right, brother. See you guys.